Have you ever felt alone, yet surrounded by people? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? You're in a room full of conversations, laughter, and movement, but deep down you feel disconnected, like no one really sees you, no one truly understands you. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, why does that happen? And more importantly, what can you do about it? Let me tell you something. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It's one of the biggest misconceptions we carry. You see, most of us spend our lives chasing connections, relationships, friendships, recognition, hoping they will fill the void inside us. But here's the truth that many don't realize. No one out there can complete you. That happiness, that peace you're searching for has always been within you. You just haven't unlocked it yet. Here's a hard truth. We're scared of being alone. Society has drilled it into our heads that being alone is some kind of failure. If you're single, you must be incomplete. If you're spending Friday nights by yourself, something must be wrong with you, right? Wrong. That's a lie we've been fed for years. And today, we're going to shatter it. In this video, you'll learn how to turn solitude into your greatest ally. You'll understand why letting go of toxic attachments, whether it's people, habits, or even your own negative thoughts, isn't just a choice, it's a necessity. You'll discover how to stop relying on others to validate your worth and start building a life where your happiness doesn't depend on anyone but you. Oh, I know what you're thinking. But how? How do I find joy in being alone when it feels so empty? That's exactly what we're going to explore. By the end of this, you'll not only see being alone as a gift, but also realize that it's the key to becoming your most authentic, powerful self. And here's the best part. The moment you stop fearing solitude and start embracing it, you'll unlock a freedom most people only dream of. A freedom that allows you to let go of expectations, live without limits, and finally, find the peace you've been searching for. So stay with me, because this isn't just another speech. This is your wake-up call, your invitation to rewrite your story, to stop seeing being alone as a curse and start treating it as the blessing it truly is. Are you ready? Good, let's dive in. Being alone and feeling lonely are two very different experiences, yet we often confuse the two. Loneliness is that heavy feeling of emptiness, of being disconnected from others. It's when you crave companionship but don't have it, when the silence around you feels deafening. On the other hand, being alone is simply a state of physical solitude. It's not about feeling disconnected. It's about being with yourself. The key difference lies in perspective. Loneliness is rooted in longing, in a belief that something is missing. But being alone, that's an opportunity, a choice, a chance to turn inward and connect with the one person who matters most. You see, the problem isn't being alone, it's the fear of facing ourselves. We've grown so accustomed to distractions, so dependent on others to fill the gaps, that we forget the beauty of our own company. But when you strip away the noise, the conversations, and the endless need for validation, something incredible happens. In solitude, you meet yourself. And in that meeting, you begin to uncover who you truly are. Spending time alone allows for self-discovery in a way nothing else can. When you're alone, there's no one to impress, no roles to play. You can ask yourself the questions that really matter. What do I love? What do I want? What truly makes me happy? In the stillness, you find clarity. You begin to see your passions, your strengths, and even your fears in ways you never noticed before. Solitude becomes a mirror, reflecting back your truest self. But it's not just about discovery, it's about growth. When you embrace being alone, you step into a space where personal growth thrives. You start to rely on yourself instead of others, and in doing so, you build resilience. You realize that your happiness, your peace, and your worth don't depend on anyone else. That realization is liberating, it's empowering, it's life-changing. And let's not forget creativity. Some of the greatest ideas, the most profound breakthroughs, come in moments of solitude. When your mind isn't consumed with the chatter of the world, it has room to wander, to explore, to create. You start seeing solutions to problems, envisioning dreams you'd pushed aside, and connecting dots you didn't even know existed. There's also a sense of balance that comes with being alone. You learn to slow down, to be present, to appreciate the little things, the sound of rain, the taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on your skin. These moments of mindfulness, of pure presence, bring a calmness that's hard to find in the chaos of daily life. Being alone isn't about isolation, it's about connection. But this connection isn't external, it's internal. It's about building a relationship with yourself, understanding your needs, your desires, and your worth. And when you do, something amazing happens. You stop fearing solitude and start cherishing it, because in those quiet moments, you realize that you are enough. You always have been. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to conform. From a young age, we're told what success should look like, how we're supposed to live, who we should be with, and even how we should feel. Society paints a picture that happiness is tied to being in a relationship, having a busy social life, or following a certain timeline. If you're not doing these things, if you're not fitting in, you're made to feel like you're failing. But let me tell you something. Those expectations are not your truth. They're not your path. The pressure to conform is rooted in fear. Fear of standing out, fear of being judged, and most of all, fear of being alone. Because it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if you just follow the script, get the job, find the partner, make the friends, you'll find happiness. But the reality is, chasing after what others say you should want will never bring you real joy. It only leads to a cycle of constant comparison and dissatisfaction. You end up living for others, not for yourself. And then there's the fear of being alone. Society has conditioned us to view solitude as something to avoid, something to be ashamed of. If you're not surrounded by people, if you're not part of a crowd, it feels like you're doing life wrong. But let me ask you this. Why is being alone seen as such a bad thing? Why do we fear it so much? The truth is that fear doesn't come from solitude itself. It comes from what we believe it represents. Failure, rejection, or being unworthy. But none of that is true. Releasing these societal expectations is the first step toward finding true happiness. It means letting go of the need to fit in and embracing the freedom to live life on your terms. It means understanding that your worth isn't defined by how many friends you have, your relationship status, or how well you check off society's boxes. You are not here to meet anyone else's standards. You are here to create your own. When you let go of these pressures, you give yourself permission to breathe, to explore, to discover what truly makes you happy. You stop living for the approval of others and start living for yourself. You realize that happiness isn't about meeting external expectations. It's about aligning with your inner truth. And let me tell you, there is nothing more liberating than that. So stop worrying about what others think. Stop comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. Stop chasing what society tells you is happiness. Instead, ask yourself, what do I want? What feels right for me? When you start answering those questions honestly, without the weight of outside expectations, you'll begin to see a version of happiness that is pure, that is authentic, and that is entirely your own. Because happiness isn't something you find by looking outward, it's something you create by looking within. Mindfulness is a powerful tool, yet so simple in its essence. It's about being present, fully here, in this very moment. Not in the past, replaying regrets or mistakes. Not in the future, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. It's about now. And it's in this now where peace truly exists. When we connect to the present moment, we begin to see things as they are, not as we fear they might be or as we wish they were. This clarity allows us to embrace solitude, not as something to escape, but as something to cherish. The beauty of mindfulness is that it doesn't require anything complicated. You don't need a quiet mountain retreat or hours of spare time. You only need a moment and a willingness to pause. It could be as simple as sitting still and focusing on your breath. Inhale deeply, exhale slowly. Notice the rhythm. Feel the air filling your lungs and leaving your body. That simple act of paying attention to your breath anchors you to the present moment. And here's the magic. When you're present, the noise in your mind starts to quiet down. All those racing thoughts, what if, why me, what next, they begin to fade. Instead, you notice the small details you usually overlook. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the gentle rustling of leaves outside your window, even the sensation of your body resting in the chair. These little moments of awareness remind you that life isn't just happening to you, it's happening for you, right here, right now. One simple meditation practice to try is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. It's a grounding technique that brings your focus back to the present. Start by noticing 5 things you can see around you. Look at them carefully, the colors, the textures, the shapes. Then listen for 4 things you can hear, even if they're faint, like the hum of a fan or birds chirping in the distance. Next, touch 3 things, maybe the fabric of your clothes, the surface of a table, or the softness of a pillow. Follow this by noticing 2 things you can smell. And finally, focus on 1 thing you can taste, even if it's just the lingering flavor in your mouth. This practice pulls your attention away from your thoughts and grounds you in the now. Another practice is to simply sit with your emotions. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Whatever you're feeling, whether it's sadness, joy, fear, or calm, just observe it without judgment. Don't try to push it away or hold on to it. Let it flow through you like a passing wave. You'll find that when you stop resisting your emotions, they lose their grip on you. Mindfulness isn't about forcing yourself to be happy or trying to fix anything. It's about noticing. It's about being. When you practice mindfulness, you learn to embrace solitude, not as an absence, but as a presence. You realize that in the stillness of the moment, there's a profound sense of connection, not to the world outside, but to the world within. Spending time alone doesn't have to feel like a void to fill. It can be an opportunity to dive into activities that bring joy and fulfillment. When you embrace solitude, you open the door to explore things that not only keep you engaged, but also nurture your mind, body, and soul. It's in these moments of focused, intentional action that you realize being alone can be incredibly enriching. Reading is one of the simplest yet most rewarding activities you can enjoy by yourself. A good book can transport you to another world, introduce you to new perspectives, and ignite your imagination. Whether it's fiction, self-help, or biographies, reading gives you a chance to expand your mind and connect with stories or ideas that resonate deeply. It's a private journey where every page turns into a moment of discovery, one that you get to savor without distractions. Then, there's the beauty of being outdoors. Hiking, for example, is a wonderful way to reconnect with nature and with yourself. The sound of your footsteps on a dirt path, the scent of fresh air, and the sight of towering trees or wide-open skies, all of it grounds you in the present. As you walk, you can reflect, clear your mind, or simply enjoy the quiet rhythm of nature. It's a reminder of how vast and beautiful the world is, even when you're walking it alone. Learning a new skill is another way to embrace solitude while adding a sense of purpose to your time. Maybe it's picking up an instrument, trying your hand at painting, or learning a new language. When you engage in the process of learning something new, you're not just passing the time, you're growing. Every small improvement, every challenge overcome builds confidence and reminds you of your ability to achieve things on your own. It's incredibly satisfying to see your progress and know it came from your dedication and effort. Cooking is another underrated solo activity. Experimenting with new recipes, tasting new flavors, and even making mistakes in the kitchen can be a form of self-expression. Preparing a meal for yourself isn't just about feeding your body, it's about taking the time to care for yourself, to enjoy the process, and to treat yourself to something you've created. Even something as simple as journaling can become a meaningful solo activity. Writing down your thoughts, dreams, or even just random musings can be therapeutic. It's a space where you can be completely honest with yourself, explore your emotions, and make sense of your experiences. The joy of these activities isn't just in the act itself, it's in the connection you build with yourself through them. You're not trying to fill a void or distract yourself from being alone. You're using your solitude as a time to grow, to create, and to explore. And in that process, you discover something beautiful. The fulfillment that comes from doing things that truly make you happy, all on your own. Self-compassion is one of the most powerful tools we can give ourselves, yet it's often the most overlooked. We are so quick to criticize ourselves, to focus on what we think we've done wrong, or where we feel we fall short. But let me ask you this. Would you speak to a loved one the way you speak to yourself? Would you tear them down when they're struggling, or remind them of every mistake they've ever made? Of course not. So why do we do it to ourselves? Self-compassion begins with recognizing that you're human, that it's okay to make mistakes, and that imperfection is not a flaw, it's a part of life. Instead of punishing yourself for falling short, try treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd show to a close friend. When you mess up, acknowledge it, but don't dwell on it. Remind yourself that one moment doesn't define you. You're allowed to grow, to learn, and to try again. Positive self-talk is an essential part of nurturing self-compassion. The way we speak to ourselves shapes how we see ourselves. If your inner voice is constantly harsh or negative, it's no surprise that your self-esteem takes a hit. But when you shift that voice to one of encouragement and support, you begin to see yourself differently. Start by noticing the negative things you tell yourself. When that critical voice creeps in, I'm not good enough, I'll never get this right, or I always mess things up, pause and challenge it. Ask yourself, is this really true? Most of the time it isn't. Replace those thoughts with affirmations that lift you up, like, I'm doing my best, I'm learning and growing, or I deserve kindness, even from myself. Nurturing self-love and acceptance is a practice, and it's one that takes time. Begin by acknowledging the parts of yourself you often overlook. Celebrate your strengths, no matter how small they might seem. Maybe you're a good listener, or you're creative, or you're resilient in the face of challenges. Take time to appreciate these qualities. Write them down if you need to. Seeing them in front of you can be a powerful reminder of your worth. Another way to cultivate self-love is through acts of self-care. This doesn't have to mean extravagant gestures. It can be as simple as taking a walk when you're feeling overwhelmed, setting boundaries when you need space, or giving yourself permission to rest when you're tired. Self-care is about honoring your needs and recognizing that you deserve to be cared for, even by yourself. Forgiveness is also a critical part of self-compassion. We hold on to so much guilt and regret, replaying moments we wish we could change. But the past is gone, and beating yourself up over it won't bring it back. Forgive yourself for the things you didn't know, for the choices you made when you were doing the best you could with what you had. Let go of that weight. You don't need to carry it anymore. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. When you treat yourself with kindness, when you speak to yourself with love, and when you accept yourself as you are, you build a foundation of inner strength. You learn that your worth isn't tied to external achievements or other people's opinions. It comes from within, and it's yours to claim, always. Letting go of the past is one of the hardest things to do, yet it's one of the most necessary steps toward true happiness. We hold on to old relationships, painful regrets, or memories of what could have been, thinking that revisiting them will somehow change the outcome. But the truth is, clinging to the past only chains us to something we can never rewrite. It's like carrying around a heavy bag of stones. You can't move forward if your hands are full of what you should have let go of long ago. Past relationships often leave a deep imprint, whether they ended badly or just drifted apart. It's easy to dwell on what went wrong, replaying conversations or moments over and over again, hoping for a different ending. But what if you asked yourself this instead? What is this attachment costing me? By holding on to something or someone that's no longer part of your life, you're giving them power over your present. It's not easy, but acknowledging that some relationships have run their course can be freeing. Not everything is meant to last forever, and that's okay. Regrets can also act like anchors, pulling you into a cycle of self-blame and what-ifs. Maybe you regret a missed opportunity, a choice you made, or even words you wish you could take back. But regret won't change the past. The only thing it can do is rob you of your ability to enjoy the present. Instead of letting regret consume you, shift your focus to what you've learned from those experiences. Every mistake carries a lesson, and those lessons shape who you are today. Moving forward requires a conscious decision to release what no longer serves you. Start by giving yourself permission to let go. Sometimes we hold on to the past because we think we're supposed to, because letting go feels like giving up or forgetting. But letting go isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing peace over pain. In short, seeking peace creates peace, but without it, it's about saying, I'm done letting this control my happiness. One strategy for releasing the past is to practice forgiveness, not just for others, but for yourself. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you've made, for the things you didn't know at the time, and for the times you acted out of fear or hurt. Forgiveness isn't about excusing behavior, it's about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Another way to let go is to focus on the present moment. Mindfulness practices, like meditation or journaling, can help you ground yourself in the now. Write down what you're feeling, and then write about what you want moving forward. It's a way of acknowledging the past while making room for the future. Surround yourself with things and people that uplift you. Replace old habits or reminders of the past with new, positive routines. Take a walk in nature, pick up a new hobby, or connect with people who inspire you. These small steps help shift your focus from what was to what can be. Letting go doesn't mean the past disappears. It just means it no longer holds the power to dictate your life. When you embrace the present, you open the door to new possibilities, new joys, and a version of yourself that's lighter, freer, and ready to move forward. Setting achievable goals is one of the most empowering steps you can take toward living a life filled with purpose and contentment. Goals give you direction. They give you something to work toward, something to look forward to. But these goals aren't just about checking things off a list. They should align with who you are, your passions, and the things that truly matter to you. When your goals come from a place of genuine interest and not just external expectations, the process itself becomes rewarding. The first step is to take a moment to reflect on what excites you, what drives you, and what makes you feel alive. These are the areas where your goals should live. They don't have to be big or overwhelming. In fact, smaller, achievable goals can be even more meaningful. Maybe you've always wanted to learn an instrument, start a garden, or write a story. Perhaps your goal is to take better care of your health or to deepen your knowledge in a particular field. Whatever it is, make sure it feels authentic to you, not something you think you should do because of societal pressures. When you set a goal that aligns with your passions, the journey itself becomes a source of joy. Every small step toward that goal builds confidence and gives you a sense of accomplishment. It's not just about the end result. It's about the growth, the learning, and the fulfillment that happens along the way. Each little victory reminds you of your potential and reinforces the belief that you're capable of achieving great things. One of the most important aspects of goal setting is making them realistic and actionable. Lofty, vague goals like I want to be successful or I want to be happy can feel overwhelming and often lead to frustration. Instead, break those bigger aspirations into smaller, concrete steps. If your dream is to improve your health, start with something specific, like drinking more water daily or taking a short walk each morning. These smaller goals are more manageable and allow you to build momentum as you progress. Pursuing goals that are meaningful to you can also bring a deep sense of purpose to your life. When you wake up each day knowing you're working towards something that truly matters to you, it gives you a reason to keep pushing forward, even on tough days. Your goals become a reminder that your life has direction, that your actions have meaning, and that you're actively shaping the future you want. It's also important to celebrate your progress along the way. Too often we focus solely on the end goal and forget to acknowledge how far we've come. Take time to recognize the effort you put in, the challenges you've overcome, and the lessons you've learned. These moments of reflection are fuel for your journey and help you stay connected to the reasons you started in the first place. Chasing goals that align with your passions is about more than achieving success. It's about living a life that feels full, intentional, and uniquely your own. Every step you take toward those goals is a step toward a deeper sense of purpose and contentment that no one else can define for you. In the end, embracing solitude and letting go of the past is not just about being alone. It's about giving yourself the space to discover who you truly are, free from the noise and expectations of the world. When you let go of the things that no longer serve you, whether it's old relationships, regrets, or the pressure to conform, you make room for something much more powerful, a deeper connection with yourself. True happiness doesn't come from external validation or from being surrounded by people. It comes from within, from the quiet moments of self-reflection and the peace that follows. I encourage you to take the first step on your journey. Embrace the solitude, release the past, and begin the work of finding happiness within yourself. Your path to contentment and fulfillment starts right now, and it's yours to create. If you found this video inspiring, be sure to like it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more empowering content. Together, let's continue on this journey of self-discovery and growth. Bye, Happy.